All right, guys, we're going to continue with factoring by grouping. Remember that we're writing in our factoring book. We're going to do two examples. It's actually going to be the same example twice. I'm going to show you two different ways to do it. And you can write both of them down here in the bottom of your factoring book. We're also going to finish up this video with a try on your own that you should do in your regular notebook. So if you have your regular notebook handy, we'll work on that at the end of the video. But let's start in our factoring book. So here is my next problem. Again, 4 terms, and so I'm going to draw my 2x2 box, and I'm going to put them in descending order. Looking at my top 2 boxes, my first row, I can take out an x squared. I hope you're seeing that that's a pattern on these. And then the largest number that 24 and 18 are both divisible by is 6. Now, as far as this negative sign goes, we're not going to take out a negative in our first position. The first position, so the first number here and the first number up top, those are never negative. Those are always positive. The only place where you should be putting a negative number is next to a negative box. So if this box is negative, I would expect the number right above it to be negative. All right, let's keep going. 6 times 4 is 24, and then x squared times x is x to the 3rd. 6 times negative 3, there's where that negative sign comes in, is 18, and I already have my x squared. If you don't know 4 times what is 60, remember you can always just divide on your calculator. 60 divided by 4 is 15. So 4x times 15 is 60x. And then we just double check to make sure 15 times negative 3 is negative 45. Now, if you read the top of the slide, it starts with GCF and box method. And that's not the GCF we use to do the box method. That's a different GCF. So if you look at the left-hand side of this problem, I hope you noticed that 6x squared plus 15, that actually has a GCF. 6 and 15 are both divisible by 3. And so while we have factored this right now, we have not factored it completely. So we do need to keep going. So when you finish the box, if you notice that one side has a GCF, it doesn't have to be all 4 of them. If the left side or the top, it's always going to be the left side, has a GCF, you should do that one extra step of factoring out the GCF. The GCF always has to be written at the very front of the problem. So I'm going to write a 3 in the very front of the problem. And I'm just factoring it out of this first parentheses. So I'll be doing 6 divided by 3 and 15 divided by 3. And I'm not going to touch the second parentheses. The second parentheses was fine. And so my actual final answer to this problem is 3 times 2x squared plus 5 times 4x minus 3. So you do want to make sure you're factoring completely, and sometimes that means you'll need to do multiple types of factoring within a problem. Now, we didn't notice the GCF until the very end of this question, but sometimes we might notice it at the beginning. So let me show you what this problem looks like had we have noticed the 3 at the beginning of the question. This is the same problem, but I want you to do it again in your book because we're going to do it in a different way. This time, we're going to pretend like we noticed at the very beginning of the problem that 24, 18, 60, and 45 are all divisible by 3. So we could have started this problem by factoring out a GCF of 3. That's going to take all of our numbers and make them smaller by dividing them by 3. Next, we can take our new polynomial, just the inside of the parentheses, and factor that using the box, the same way that we did before. Now again, our numbers are smaller, so we are going to get a different outside, but we should still get the same answer. Starting across the top, I have a GCF of 2x squared. 2 times 4 is 8, and x squared times x is x to the 3rd. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6x squared. 4 times 5 is 20. And 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. So if you factor out the GCF at the beginning, then you can get your final answer. Look, we got the same 4x minus 3 up here, right? The only thing that's different is the 2x squared plus 5. The 3 had already been taken out of it. Now, the tricky thing, if you factor out a GCF at the beginning of the problem, you still have to remember to write it as part of your answer. So make sure that you're still writing that 3 in front of your 2 parentheses. I'd like to finish up today's video by having you try one on your own in your notebook. So, if you have more space here and you want to try it in here, that's fine. But if you ran out of room in here, go ahead and just find an empty page in your math notebook and try this problem. Notice that the directions say factor completely. Maybe you started this problem by taking out a GCF. If you did, that GCF was 5G. If you didn't, that's okay. I hope you noticed by the end of the problem that there was a GCF of 5G and that you took it out before finding your final answer. This is what I got for my final answer. The order of the parentheses doesn't matter. It's what's inside that counts. So make sure you have a 5G at the very beginning. One of your parentheses should be G minus 1, and the other one should be G squared plus 4. This is the end of our videos for today.